Alright, so here I am. This is a customer of mine that it's a supercharged vet. I just did the motor on it a little under 1,000 miles. I don't know, 800 or something. I'll have to check the mileage. But he had a concern because his coolant started going low, and he tried looking into why it was going low. Couldn't find any leaks, and he noticed, or he mentioned there was bubbles in the reservoir, and that instantly gave me that bad gut feeling, because usually bubbles are an indication of water or air in the cooling system from like a combustion chamber leak of some sort, whether it be a cracked cylinder wall, a head gasket, cylinder head, whatever. It could be quite a few things, right? So I had him driving it and keeping an eye on the antifreeze level for a while. This car is a pretty nasty build, but he hasn't stressed it yet because it's still in break-in, and he has to put injectors in before he can actually do a full pull or full load on it, plus a tune. So he's been driving it, just being nice to it, and it's going through very little, not very much, it's just a real small amount over a course of several miles. And so he's been topping it off, keeping track of how much he's adding, but since he kept track, it hasn't gone through a whole lot. It was after like the first 600 miles, he goes, my car's running a little warm, you know? And then he realizes that it's low on antifreeze because I told him check the antifreeze level, maybe there's a small leak, and sure enough it was low. Well, he only added like 2 quarts or something, right? It wasn't a whole lot. And then had to add more a little bit later, and not much more, but just a little bit. And so he came in today. This has been, I don't know, a week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that, since we were doing this whole checking on the antifreeze thing. And I did a combustion gas leakage test in the reservoir here. So basically it's a chemical test, and it's a blue chemical. I'll go grab it. So it's this blue chemical here. I grabbed the Napa stuff. It really doesn't matter where you get it from. But it's a blue chemical, and its whole purpose is if there's hydrocarbon gases going into the cooling system, it'll turn yellow. So you put it in. I have a fancier version of the tester. Usually it's just a single chamber tester, but this is a dual chamber tester. So there's 2 chambers. You fill this one up to the line, you fill that one up to the line. This guy goes on there, right? And then you sit there and you suck the cooling system, the air in the cooling system, through this thing, and either one or both of these will turn yellow, right? And as I'm doing it, it's taken quite a while. This thing is really sensitive, and it took quite a while, but it started to turn yellow. And because of how long it took, I really started to question whether it's maybe outside air, exhaust air from a breeze blowing the exhaust towards it or whatever. And you know, I did it outside, but I had my finger over this and I had to let it breathe every once in a while. I thought, well, maybe there's just a little bit of an exhaust getting in there and it's changing the color because it was just taking so long. So I did it again and it changed again, which is a bad deal. It means there is a very good chance that there is combustion gases getting in there. So now I have to double verify it, I guess you could say. But I'm going to pull valve cover, the coils, all that stuff off of there, and verify which cylinder by pressurizing them each individually. So I'm going to pull off the valve covers, that way I can just take all the rockers off, and taking all the rockers off allows me to pressurize them without having to have them at top dead center. All I want to do is check for a leak. In fact, I'd prefer if it's at bottom dead center, because if it is and there's say a crack in the cylinder wall, it'll show that. If it's at the top and there's a crack halfway down, you won't know. So I'm going to go ahead and test each one individually and verify. Now I'm going to give you a little more history on this car because I feel like it's important. The whole reason the car was brought to me in the first place was because he had a catastrophic failure. One of the intake valves, half of it broke off while he was doing a pull, and it just beat the hell out of the combustion chamber, the piston. It even hit the cylinder wall a little bit, but anyway. So the heads were damaged. He had them taken to a shop and had the valves ground, had the seats taken care of, had new guides put in, had the damage from where the piece of valve had marred up the cylinder head, had all that smooth, not all the way down. You can still see where the dents were, but at least smooth so it didn't have any sharp edges. So now my concern is, did one of those dings in the head create a micro crack somewhere in the combustion chamber of the cylinder head into the cooling system? Did the valve somehow crack the side of the cylinder wall, which I highly doubt, because those cylinder walls are much tougher than the valve would be. But there's a lot of force when it's a piston pushing it and squishing it. Did a head gasket get a small scratch in it? Maybe I scratched it, I don't know. That's what we're here to find out, is what happened. I probably won't know exactly where the problem is, but my goal tonight is to find out which cylinder it is. And if I can't find what cylinder, at least what bank, at the very least what bank, so I know which head has to be taken off. The car did not have any problems prior as far as cooling system concerns that were a big enough deal to be concerned of. It did have, when I pulled it apart, on one of the back cylinders, I think, I might be wrong, I think it was cylinder 7, but it might have been 8, where the gasket was failing or something was happening that you could see where antifreeze was just cleaning this little area in the combustion chamber, so it was burning it a little bit. Probably not enough for him to notice. Maybe it happened just before he had the actual catastrophic failure, so he never got a chance to even realize that it was a problem at all. Who knows? But the surface of the deck was cleaned up. The surface of the heads was cleaned up. So technically there should not be a problem sealing unless the gasket failed or the damaged area of the head failed. So I'm about to pressurize the first cylinder here. I'm going to do cylinder number 7, the one in the back. What I have to do is I have to mark the reservoir at exactly where it sits. I'm going to block off this hose, and I'm going to watch the coolant level. If the coolant level comes up, then that cylinder is a failed cylinder and there's some kind of leak down going on in that cylinder into the cooling system. And that's what I'm looking out for. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'll pinch this off and continue. Okay, so my marker for the side of the bottle is going to be a piece of tape. I'm just going to put the tape on the bottle so that this is the highest, so that I can see the highest point. And if the fluid level comes above that highest point, I know there's a concern. The motor is a little bit warm right now, so if it drops, I'm okay. But if it goes above, there's definitely a problem with that cylinder. Okay, I'm going to leave it pressurized for, like 5 minutes or something. And while I do that, I'm going to start on the other side. Okay, so every time I pull a plug, I'm checking down the porcelain. What I'm doing is I'm looking way down at the base with the light, and I'm comparing the color of all of them. This one, which is cylinder number 2, has like this little spot on the side that the rest of them don't have. It could be maybe that one burned a little bit of oil or something at first, just because the rings took longer to seat or something. It could be anything really, because these are the first plugs it had. So I'm going to check that one as soon as I do the last one on that side for that pressure test. If I haven't found anything by then, I'm going to do this one before I do the rest of them, just in case this one happens to be because of a coolant scenario. So I got these two snugged. I gotta torque them yet. I torqued the other side. I tested all of the cylinders. I'm on the process of doing this one here, cylinder number 4, and I still got these two left to go. I haven't found anything yet. I don't know whether that's good, bad, or otherwise, because if I don't find anything, I'm gonna be bummed that, you know, I don't have any proof of anything. But at the same time, I'm gonna be happy in that, well, maybe the cylinder heads don't have a problem, maybe, or gasket or whatever. Maybe I don't have to pull it apart again. I don't know. I'm indifferent here. I don't know whether I want to find a problem or not. Obviously, I'd love for the guy to be able to drive the car and just keep going and not have a problem with it, but where did the antifreeze go, and why did the coolant tester show positive for combustion gases in there? Sure, it took a while, but why would it do that? So, I don't know. I'm indifferent. Yeah, it's late. It's probably 11 o'clock at night right now. Maybe 11:15 or so. But I've been working since 7 a.m. this morning. I'm getting a little tired. I do got to finish the job. I got to keep on going. One thing that I've noticed while doing this is every cylinder is showing under 15% leak down. That's pretty darn good. That's telling me that the rings are pretty well seated. The only noise I hear is from past the rings. The valves are sealing fine, and apparently the rings are sealing pretty darn good for being a fresh motor too. So I took the time to test all the cylinders. Every one of them passed. Every one of them was under 15% leak down. Every one of them didn't raise the antifreeze level. So now I have a pressure tester on the cooling system. I'm just going to let it sit under pressure, see if the pressure drops. I'm going to watch the coolant level. I taped a new mark of what it is at the pressure, and it's at 16, it's at the max of the one weight. Maybe not quite the max. There, now it's at the max of the weight, so it's the 15 to 16 psi section, so it's probably 16 psi right now. I'm going to leave it there, see what happens. The pressure may drop, I think. Yeah, the motor is somehow still warm. I mean, this car pulled in here at 6:30 p.m. It is now almost midnight, and the car still has some temperature in the motor. It's insane how long metal will hold temperature. And this is in an air-conditioned shop, mind you. I mean, it's 72 degrees, 71 degrees in here right now, and it's still got some temperature to it. So that's impressive in itself. I'm going to go ahead and start assembling everything. I do have a very interesting theory in mind right now as to where this antifreeze is going. There's no visible leaks on the outside. The car is running warmer than normal, according to the customer. According to the customer, it used to run around 180, and ever since I did the motor, it's been running around 200. But it hasn't gotten too hot. He's seen it a couple of times around 208 and somewhere in that area, you know, a little over 200. But my theory is possibly these engines are susceptible to hot spots. So basically what I'm thinking is, you know, they got the steam vent there. There may be a situation of where there's little hot boils which are boiling the antifreeze, relieving the steam. The steam gets into here, it bubbles inside here because it's got those little steam bubbles happening. Those bubbles are what we're seeing, and then on top of that, that steam is leaving out of the overflow vent because it's adding extra pressure and blowing it out of the system. And that steam is obviously water. Well, if you lose water, your system is going to lower. Whether you're losing antifreeze or not, if you lose the water in the system, it's going to lower. It's 50-50 water and antifreeze. So my theory right now is that we're losing it that way. The hydrocarbon thing is the one thing that's bothering me, but it did take a long time for those hydrocarbon, this fluid, to change color. It took a little longer than expected if there was an actual problem. And since my test didn't show any kind of leakage into the cooling system, I would assume that it's okay. Now, when I was doing that test, I noticed that every single one of the cylinders, when I pressurized it, the piston went down to the bottom because the crank would turn some. You know, I tested every sleeve, God, I need to get some sleep. But it tested every sleeve, every cylinder. I'm going to go ahead and put his new spark plugs in, because if my theory is correct, he's going to be able to go get the tune done. And he's supposed to be dropping it off Sunday for that. So hopefully that's the case, and we'll be good to go. He's stepping to a colder plug because of the power that he's going to be running. The plugs we had in there were just temporary. The tuner guy told us to get a different plug, you're going to be running pretty hot. So we stepped it up a notch, or down, I guess, if you want to say, because it's colder. He also said to gap them really tight. Tighter than I would think is necessary, but maybe not. Maybe he knows something I don't. I noticed something that's a very big deal as to the difference between these plugs that were in it and the plugs that we're putting in it, and that's the protrusion level. So if you look at this plug here, you can see this. Actually, I better make sure that we're focused. So you can see this electrode here is sticking out quite a ways, right? That was the old plug. This is the new plug going in. Notice the electrode there? It is sitting inside that. So that's going to keep it a lot cooler. That's a very good thing on a performance engine. So the last thing you need to do is melt it down from having a detonation, a hot spot creating a detonation. I'm trying to look right now at how deep these pockets go as far as the porcelain area. So the other thing is, this plug here, the one that was in it, also goes deeper too yet. So this is a considerably colder plug as far as how hot it's going to be running in the car. So this is a TR6 plug that was in it. We're putting a BR7EF. That must be a huge difference in plug type. I'm actually probably going to end up using these on several of the other cars that I have out there, just simply because of the attributes it has. This was based off of a different tuner, and now that I see what I see, I prefer this plug. It's definitely going to run cooler and have less chance of detonation and less chance of damaging the motors that I build. So this will be a future plug for me, I'm sure. Okay, just did a quick check. It's down about 1 pound pressure. That's very possibly due to cooling down. It doesn't take much. The motor, I can definitely feel a substantial cool down. So I gotta pull the pressure from this thing, because I'm gonna replace the thermostat in hopes that keeping it cooler is a little bit better. Now, the pressure is actually at still 15 psi, so it hasn't moved since the last time I checked. But the fluid level is also the same as when I originally put it in place. So the fluid level has not dropped any. That means there's no leaks going out. The only thing I can think of is honestly evaporating. The water is evaporating. It's gotta be. Now if I put the cap on here, when I do the thermostat, what I can hopefully accomplish is I'll get a little bit of a bath, but I'm going to pull the housing quick away, pull the thermostat out, put it in, and then put the housing back in, hopefully before I get too horribly wet. It usually ends up being a hilarious disaster, so hopefully you guys will get some comedy out of it. I'll get some misery out of it, and it'll be all fun and games in the end. I'm so tired. I'm going to end up getting a douse. I'm going to get a total bath. this is a bad idea. I could drain the antifreeze, but what fun would that be, right? Okay, so I'm going to show you here what I have. Here you go. Here's what I'm up against. So I got the lower hose there. Let's get up here. We got the thermostat housing right there. There's a lower bolt that's in the shadow there. You can't see it. That bolt has to come out. That'll be the one that'll make it start to leak. I have the top hose clamped. There, you see that thermostat housing there? Yeah, I'm gonna pull that off. It's gonna hit everything here. It's gonna make a catastrophic mess. I am gonna get completely drenched. Yes! So let's find out how bad this really ends up. Give you guys a little bit farther away view so you can really see the damage of how badly I get destroyed by this thing. I am not looking forward to this. But you guys don't need to see the car, you need to see me. So here you go. Enjoy every living second of my drenching. Here's my attempted save in a pan. Why don't you write in the comments, should I be standing in this pan, or should I just leave the pan next to me? I'm going to leave it next to me, but what do you think? Before I actually do this, should I stand in it? Am I going to be more wet than the pan? Or am I going to actually capture some of this in the pan? Standing outside of it like I'm planning on. Yeah, the pan about there. You can tell I'm not looking forward to this, can you? Alright. Let's do it. It has line-up pegs. I gotta line it up too yet. God, I'm screwed. Ugh. Are you ready? I'm not. This is a bad idea. Really bad idea, guys. Oh, fuck. Oh my god. Okay. That tastes terrible. Maybe I should tighten the bolt back up. Where the hell's my bolt at? Ah, it's going down my arm. This was stupid. I knew this was stupid. I called that one out. My feet are wet. Woo! Got the bolt tight. I didn't get it in there though. Ugh, everything tastes like antifreeze. Yep, that's not happening. I'm gonna drain it. That was stupid. I didn't even get the thing off there and it's just pouring out like nobody's business. I don't want to walk around. My feet are wet. I needed a reason to mop the floor anyway. It was getting dirty. That's why I did this. This had nothing to do with trying to save time and totally screwing myself. No, this is totally intentional. I needed to clean the floor. Oh my gosh. I can't win for nothing here. There, now it's making it in the 5-gallon pail, kind of. Holy hell. Why so much shower? Here's what not to do, you guys. Oh no, it's going everywhere. Oh my god. That supercharger bracket is so in the way right now. I can't even do what I want to do. I'm stuck holding on to the damn thing. I'm in a predicament that I get myself in. I need a shower. I need an after shower, actually, technically. So I just got my shower. So much antifreeze just everywhere. I'm going to have to show you guys this mess here in a minute. It is now 1 a.m. in the morning. I am still going at it. I don't know why. I guess I'm dedicated to my customer service. Jeez, I thought it was done draining. Nope, not even close. Aha! It might be done. Woohoo! Yeah, this would have never worked. No wonder I couldn't get it. I wonder why I couldn't pull the hose out of the way to push the stat back in, but the bolt with a socket on it backs against that supercharger bracket. And because of that, I would have never got it. It tastes like glycol. Why does it taste like glycol? I need a beach towel to soak all this up. I didn't get doused as bad as I thought I would. That's because it leaked sooner than I thought it would. But I certainly did get doused. Alright, so the good news is I think I got the thermostat in correctly. It seems like it's sitting in position right. The bad news is, I don't know if you can see that, but I got water to the hoist, or coolant, all over the place. I mean, footsteps, traces. I got a giant puddle here I gotta clean up. I got some in the pan, some in the bucket. Some dripping from the car, so I gotta rinse that off. I had a hell of a mess to clean up, unfortunately, and that's what I get to clean it up with. I really need a drain and a garden hose in here, so badly. But I don't have that option, so I guess I'll just go ahead and continue doing what I do and make the best of it. When I was dealing with the antifreeze that came out of that car, this car, I noticed something that bothered me a little bit and gives me more indication of my theory being possibly correct. The antifreeze color is off. It's like a weird opaque kind of, it just doesn't look right. I'm thinking that the old cap, he just got a new one today. We put it on for the first time. I'm willing to bet the old cap doesn't hold pressure. I don't have a cap tester for this style of cap, so I'm unable to test it and verify it could hold the pressure. But I'm willing to bet you it wasn't holding full pressure. He said it would release pressure, but when I was out there and I pulled the cap off, it was like a little psst. It really wasn't anything. It wasn't near enough as compared to what it should be. It didn't seem to me like it was holding much pressure, maybe 3 to 5 psi maximum. Either way, those hot spots could easily be seeing 250 to 270 degrees if they're in the right dead locations where there's not adequate coolant flow just because of design or whatever. So I think I might be onto something with my theory. We'll find out. He'll drive the car. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll post an update on it. If it solves it, if it doesn't, whatever. But I'm going to finish this up. I'm going to get the system full, do a vacuum, get the charge pipe back on. And then tomorrow morning, first thing. Okay. This morning, after I wake up from my short nap, I got to wake up early today. Today. Not tomorrow. Today. Wow. But I got to wake up early today. I got some family stuff I got to do tomorrow morning. And then I got another Corvette that I got to go work on at the guy's place. But anyway, so I got to get this thing cleaned up first thing in the morning, and I'm actually going to drive this car to this other guy's house because it's closer to where this dude lives. The other vet is closer to where this dude lives, so he's going to actually meet me there and pick up his car there. Well, the car is completed. Tomorrow morning I gotta fire it up, let it warm up, check the coolant, all that good happy crap. But I am getting my butt to bed. I am not sure exactly what time it is. See here. Oh, look at that. Some Texas Speedheads. How nice is that? It is 1:40 a.m. So I have been working on this thing plenty long enough for the day. It's time for me to go in, take a shower, have a nice 2-cubed drink of whiskey, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to drink. I'm going to have a drink of something, though. It's going to be delicious. I'm going to pass the F out. You guys have a great day, or night, evening, whatever time it is you're watching this video. Like, share, subscribe. I'll keep them coming. I was lacking this last week, but I got quite a few to post now, so this one, among several others, are going to all pop up at the same time here, and I'll put the links up in the corners wherever I decide to put them, and we'll see you guys next time.